Mr. Kibble, you have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's disappointing we're focusing so much on Bill C-16 and showcasing that before it's being debated and not C-11 and the particular instances of military sexual trauma. We've heard heartbreaking testimony from many victims, Minister, and survivors. Overwhelmingly, they have said they want choice. We've had the testimony of Justices Deschamps and Fish who say they support choice between the two military and civilian justice systems, and you only focus on Justice Arbour's report. I think that everybody's voices should be included. I think that all of those recommendations should be included and not just cherry picking. Victims have said overwhelmingly they will not bring many of their cases forward to civilian courts, including the low-level ones. In fact, many of them have reported that their cases have been turned away from the civilian system. Why will you not hear their voices of everyone, hear the majority of voices, and why do you insist on taking away choice so that victims can choose? And this is military sexual trauma, which is very different than just sexual trauma. Why do you insist on taking away that choice from them between those two systems?
So, very respectfully, I have a sincerely held different view. The choice that I see playing out right now in the military context is for so many people not to come forward at all. It's for the reasons that I've outlined. Mr. Chair, do I have time to offer a response similar to the length of the question?
This isn't about your view. This is about the view of victims of military sexual trauma. And we've had
Mr. Chair, do I have an opportunity to offer responses?
My apologies, Chair, but interpreters cannot do the work that they need to do when we have two people talking over each other.
Mr. Kibble, I'll give you a few extra minutes, but I'll let the Minister respond, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
On this issue, my view is informed by the reports that have engaged 1,000 victims or more. My conclusion is that there are many, many people who are choosing not to come forward for the reasons that I've articulated previously in this session. That includes the fear of reprisals. It includes a lack of independence when you have actors in the justice system who are subject to the chain of command. There are very real consequences to a person's life and a career that's causing them not to come forward. When we see 100 cases nationally in that ballpark coming forward, I expect that there's a significant number that go unreported compared to the tens of thousands that we see reported across the country in a civilian context. I'm not arguing one system is perfect. I think there is a better path than exists today.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, but this shouldn't be about your view of this. This should be about the view of the victims, and I appreciate you've heard from thousands of victims, and overwhelmingly they have supported choice. I've also, earlier in your testimony, I was glad to hear that you said that civilian police have appropriate training in dealing with sexual assault. I think that's very important, and that they're trauma-informed, and you acknowledge that. However, military sexual trauma is very different. Police, including the Victoria Police Chief, have said that police services, and they deal with multiple, the potential to deal with the cases at CFB Esquimalt, second largest base in Canada. Victoria Police Chief has said that they would need specialized training in dealing with military sexual trauma, that they would need funding to support the extra work that they do not have the capability to deal with. These are hundreds of cases potentially that are coming. Will the government give them support, ensure that they have the training dealing with military sexual trauma and its differences, dealing with different evidence handling, records, personal records, and access to information? Thank you.
Thank you. So we do have programs that support this kind of training through the Victims Fund. Whether there will be an application forthcoming, I'm not aware of that. But that is an opportunity for us to actually work to ensure that there is appropriate level of training for people who understand the unique context. And I accept the context would be different in a military context.
So thank you that there's a training available. But I'm speaking specifically of funding in the millions of dollars that civilian police forces and provincial justice systems are going to need to take on this extra load and this extra training. Will the government provide those millions of dollars? We've even considered or asked anybody about that extra load and training and dollars that will be needed to support this just being thrown onto the civilian justice system.
Well, the creation of the Victims Fund was partially motivated by the need to address these very specific kinds of things, because we're seeing specialized courts pop up in different parts of the country to address these kinds of concerns. We don't obviously have a funding announcement to make at this parliamentary committee hearing, because we would require an application to come in, to be assessed, to actually work with the proponent who would be seeking to tap into these federal funding opportunities. So there are funding opportunities there, to answer your question directly. Whether we have a specific one in Victoria for the local police force or court systems would depend on engagements that would need to take place in advance of funding application.